Chad, it just becomes so nonsensical all of a sudden to me. Like the whole thing has been stupid. But now I don't know how you view Caitlin Clark as anything other than just a superstar, megastar, and everything else is wrapped around her for women's basketball, right? I mean, it's her as the star, and everything else is revolving around her.
There's a lot of credit farming that's going on around the Caitlin Clark story, and Joy Taylor is the latest one that's guilty of this, that everyone is so reluctant to give Caitlin Clark her flowers for her responsibility in driving interest into the entire women's basketball game, not just college, but also in the WNBA. And Joy Taylor's just the latest that wants to shift attention and credit away from Caitlin Clark and make sure that we all remember Angel Reese, which Angel Reese is always going to be quick to make sure everyone remembers her.
No doubt. Here's Joy Taylor, who went on the Joe Budden podcast and gave her thoughts on how and why Caitlin Clark became so popular.
It upset white men to watch this strong, winning, unapologetic black woman be in their, be in Caitlin's face.
In their savior's face.
Yeah, and they still cling to it. And it's now like spun to this whole thing where like Caitlin's better than Angel and blah, blah, blah. I just said we would not be talking about Caitlin Clark the way that we do if it wasn't for that moment with Angel Reese. And I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
I was with you until that.
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. I will fight this war.
Joy, chill out, yo.
Even the co-host disagreeing with her on that, saying, I was with you until you said that.
To the level that she's going, she's not even close to being accurate. You've got the all-time leading scorer in college basketball. We could start there. The rivalry certainly has fueled a lot of the interest in this. But the rivalry now is turned the other way. It was Angel Reese who was winning in college, head-to-head, against Caitlin Clark. And now it's the other way around. And she says she's going to die on this hill. And earlier this month, she shared similar thoughts on Speak.
She just said, the national championship game. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before Angel Reese walked up to her, did this, and pointed to the ring. This is not my opinion. I lived it. I watched it. It was recorded. It was broadcasted live. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before that moment.
We were, because that's why Angel Reese did that. Right? That's why it was like point to the ring, because all the talk was about Caitlin Clark. So we were just getting started talking about her, but we were talking about her prior to that moment. That's where we were already talking about Angel Reese when it came to LSU. They were competing for national titles, but not to the extent that we would eventually discuss both of them. Their rivalry is what has fueled a lot of the interest. It's what keeps it going, because we're all tuned in now to Caitlin Clark, regardless of who she's played. That's clear. But for the longest time, it was LSU versus Iowa, and it was Angel Reese on one side, Caitlin Clark on the other, and everyone became a Caitlin Clark fan. Now everyone is a Caitlin Clark fan, and no one wants to actually buy it, want to believe it.
It's spun to this whole thing where people are saying that Caitlin Clark is better than Angel Reese. What?
Yeah, right.
She is better. How do I know she's better? Every statistical category where you could be better than an opponent, she's better than Angel Reese in. College, she's better. I'm talking individual performances here.
Right.
College, she's better. She's Rookie of the Year in the WNBA, she's better. Then her team gets better in the WNBA than Angel Reese's team. Yeah, LSU won in 2023. And yes, that was a viral moment, and it made Angel Reese a part of the conversation with Caitlin Clark, and it's helped both of them tremendously. And it's helped the WNBA tremendously. I'm not denying any of that, but because Joy Taylor gets handed a packet of a rundown for the show every day from a producer, and it didn't say to talk about Caitlin Clark until after that Final Four, which, by the way, I believe is probably true. I think she's speaking from her own personal experience. She's saying, hey, I work on a show. I'm not following a lot of women's basketball accounts. Maybe I'm not reading a lot about sports, or I'm not doing this all the time. But I know when I host that show, I know what producers are telling me to talk about the biggest stories nationally every day. And I didn't start talking about Caitlin Clark or even knew who she was until Angel Reese got in her face and taunted her. And as she said, it made white men across the country angry that a strong black woman would stand up and do that. people were talking about Caitlin Clark before that moment.
It was the race to the...
It was such a big moment because we knew who Caitlin Clark was. If Caitlin Clark was just another white girl from Iowa that averaged 12 a game and not what she did and wasn't going for a national record, then, yeah, it wouldn't have been much of anything
it was the national
that happened
record.
in the game. People would have laughed about it. It would have been a meme. It would have been a joke. It would have been whatever. It was a big deal because Caitlin Clark was involved.
It started out as, have you seen this girl who's shooting from half court and making every shot? And she's going for the all-time scoring record, right? And then that became the phenomenon. We latched on to that. And as a society, and then all of a sudden, they're matching up with Angel Reese and LSU, who are competing for national championships. And Angel Reese points to the ring, and mocks and does because that was, both teams were going back and forth a bit, and she's saying you can't see me and all this stuff because they were winning national championships, and because that was really the beginning of Caitlin Clark taking the shine off of anyone, right? Taking it away from the teams winning national championships because they were playing a style of basketball that we gravitated to, making every shot and going for records. And then the rivalry happened. And that then fuels more viewership. That fuels more discussion on shows like Joy's, like ours, like anyone, because of the confrontation. You have the ability to then discuss something that's not basketball, but tie it into Caitlin Clark and the run for the record. That was huge. Is she going to win a title also, or is she going to take down LSU, who's known for doing this? Angel Reese, who's the face of college basketball as we knew it. And then here comes Caitlin Clark to take it over.
Yeah, and look, I think Joy Taylor's admitting that no one likes her opinion on this or agrees with it because she's saying, I will die on this hill.
Right.
And she continues to die on the hill. Her or whoever the podcast is hosting it, they're even like, oh, I was
Joe
with you
Budden
until you
podcast,
said that.
Yeah.
I can't go that far. If you're going to argue, though, that Angel Reese getting in the face of Caitlin Clark when winning a national title is the impetus and the start of her becoming a phenomenon and the start of her being famous, my follow-up question to Joy Taylor would be, okay, how much time do you devote in your program to Angel Reese Chicago Sky games that don't involve Caitlin Clark? Now let's juxtapose that with how much time you spend talking about Caitlin Clark without Angel Reese.
Right.
Caitlin Clark against the Las Vegas Aces when they get huge ratings. Caitlin Clark against the New York Liberty on a Saturday afternoon that shatters WNBA records for ratings. How much time do you spend on that versus Angel Reese against the Golden State Valkyries when the Chicago Sky takes them on? There's your answer. It's not because of Angel Reese. It's because of Caitlin Clark. Now, that added fuel to the fire.
It's huge.
That moment did, and their rivalry has helped both of them tremendously. But let's not act like people didn't know who Caitlin Clark was before. Did they know more about her after that? Sure. If you want to argue that, absolutely. It was a big moment. People knew who she was. Hutton, I was watching the Final Four in women's basketball closely because of Caitlin Clark and because she was a phenomenon that year.
And then the rivalry kicks off. And the head-to-head in the WNBA has not been close. The difference in the competition from college to pro now is in college, Angel Reese was winning the head-to-head matchups. Now it's lopsided 4-1 in Caitlin's favor. Now, can Angel Reese determine where she's going to be drafted to Chicago? No. It's not a very good team. But also, neither was Indiana whenever Caitlin's going there, and she's drafted there, and here she is 4-1 head-to-head, and you see the head-to-head stats, overall stats as well. I believe Caitlin is right now is second in the Vegas odds for MVP. Last year, she finished fifth.
While winning Rookie of the Year.
While winning Rookie of the Year, that's right. And Angel Reese finished second as Rookie of the Year last year. And I don't know where she is on the Vegas. I don't know if you could get odds on her winning MVP. My point being, it's not even a close conversation. Last year, they were having the conversation about who's going to win Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. And now that's not even a discussion.
Which was, I guess, somewhat of an argument early on in the year.
Like the first half.
Then quickly, there was separation.
Well, because at that point, I think Caitlin Clark had the first triple-double for a rookie coming into the league or something like that. And Angel Reese had already broken the record for most rebounds or something.
Well, it was double-doubles. She was on some sort of pace that most double-doubles for a rookie.
That's right.
Points and rebounds. It left out the part where she's rebounding a lot of her own shots and misses down low as part of the rebounding totals. But, yeah, there was a time where they were closer, and then as the season went on, Caitlin Clark took off and away from Angel Reese.
Here's what Portnoy had to say, and part of his own rebuttal. to what Joy Taylor had to say.
He's a huge Caitlin Clark supporter, Dave Portnoy. Loves Caitlin Clark.
The dumbest, most ridiculous rant of all time. Nobody outside of hardcore WNBA fans and LSU fans would know who Angel was if it wasn't for riding Caitlin's coattails. It made her a fortune, so kudos to her. But this is the dumbest I've ever heard. So I would say it goes both ways, though. Like, without the rivalry, at some point, we as a media and as a fan base, we stop talking about the stat sheet on a daily basis. Like, you still tune in, but I think it's much more casual than it is appointment. And it is appointment viewing from start to finish whenever Chicago's playing Indiana because of that. Like, if you're watching Las Vegas against Indiana, are you watching all 4 quarters, or is it just we'll catch up in the second quarter? Mm-hmm. This is more appointment because of the rivalry. Like, when you start naming WNBA players just on the street, these are 2 names that come up. So you could call it coattails. Angel Reese was there first, as far as I think a national name in college, and then Caitlin just took over because of her play, and it's also because of where Angel was playing. And she's playing on a very high stage.
Yeah, I think to what Portnoy's point is that he's making, and I think it's right, is that in show business, you always want to feud up and not feud down. When Angel Reese did that to Caitlin Clark, when America was enthralled with Caitlin Clark and everything she was doing, that was a moment where Angel Reese was feuding up and not down. And by feuding up, it has made her far more famous than Caitlin Clark was going to be famous regardless. Has Angel Reese helped her make her a little more famous? Sure. But she was going to be famous regardless. Angel Reese and what she did to Caitlin Clark, and as Dave Portnoy says, kudos to her, has made her a ton of money. But that was her feuding up. If Caitlin Clark did that same thing to Angel Reese in a win, that would be Caitlin Clark feuding down. And I'm talking about status. I'm talking about their quality as a player. Their records they hold from college basketball, all of that. And this is just an old adage that if you're going to feud with somebody publicly, you want to feud up and not feud down, because if they feud back with you, it's going to help your clout. It's going to help make you more famous. Angel Reese was feuding up and not feuding down.
No doubt.
And she benefited from it.
Here are your WNBA MVP odds right now. Keep in mind, you have to go left to right on each column. This is not up and down.
Gosh.
It's annoying. So you have
I don't know why anyone still does this.
Collier and then Clark.
Are we getting these from Europe?
Number 2.
Does Europe read things this way?
Let's see. Brianna Stewart, Asia
Australia,
Wilson.
the water goes backwards in Australia.
And then Gray. So right now, one of those 2 is going to win. And you have to go down a ways. Angel Reese plus 25,000.
I will say the ones I've never in my life heard the names of on this. Can you go full screen again, guys, so I can read it? Nafisa Collier. Never heard of this woman. I've never heard of Satu Sabali. Have you heard of Satu Sabali?
I have not. I've heard of Collier.
I've never heard of Nika Agumake. Never. The rest I've heard of. Skylar Diggins, heard of. Alicia Gray, a little fuzzy with that one. Yes, everybody else, I've heard of them. I could tell you where they went to college. Kelsey Plum went to Washington. Angel Reese went to LSU. Brianna Stewart, UConn. Yeah, I know the rest of these players.
Yeah.
Minus 275 right now with Collier. First time I've heard of Collier. This goes back to the WNBA is being aided by this, but it's not as if everybody's tuning into every WNBA game and storyline. They might know more about it now, but the draw is Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever.
Well, it just comes back around to when Clark's on screen, can the broadcast, can the league market the rest of the players the proper way? And can the players lead into it? That's the other problem, is they're trying to have Clark leave the league.
And I do believe
Caitlin,
that.
Please go start your own league because we don't want you here.
Right, and I think, look, if I'm an executive at Disney and I have the WNBA rights, I know that it's going to piss off the people who have covered the league for a while, but I don't really care if my job is to get more eyeballs and make it more appealing.
Right.
I'm sitting down all of my talent and I'm having a meeting and saying, ladies, gentlemen, whoever's on the call of these games, we have a lot of different people watching the games now. We have a much broader, bigger audience. So don't do things like apologize for saying this is what makes America great. You have to understand that there's a lot more eyes on you now. This is not as niche as it was before. This is a broader sport. We need to treat it as such.
Beyond Ion.
We need to be accepting to everyone who's watching the game, which, by the way, is what every league should do regardless, right? Is not be closed-minded and shut off viewers one way or the other. But little things like what we talked about yesterday, it's not a little thing. It's a pretty big thing. Don't have 8 seconds of silence because you said disagreeing and being okay with it is what makes America great, and then having to apologize for using those words.
And that's, to me, that's on Pam Ward.
Yes.
Specifically.
Well, and Rebecca Lobo also should not have walked it back. She should have just kept going.
She has Pam Ward sitting there just silent.
Yeah.
As
Laser
the
beams
play-by-play
staring at her.
For 8 seconds, just staring into the oblivion. I don't know.
Do you think Pam Ward just wrote down apologize on a piece of paper? That's what took 8 seconds. And
apologize
just showed it to her.
Apologize immediately
on the broadcast where no one could see.
Yeah, it's like you have to apologize if you're pro Caitlin Clark now.
Yeah, guys, I want to first apologize by saying Caitlin Clark did a good job on this play. She really came off this screen hard and a great job at getting the shot off. But I do want to apologize for all of our loyal, diehard WNBA fans who've been around for 20-plus years for acknowledging that Caitlin Clark is a good player.
Oh.
Pam Ward sitting there staring. Apologize. Apologize now.
Yes. If you enjoyed the show, check out the OutKick YouTube page. Head over there to YouTube/OutKick and videos. You can get all the clips, highlights, and more in one place. We hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe while you're there. You'll never miss another great moment or comment from OutKick. Coming up, we review the bubble and compare the championships from what we saw this week to what we saw in the NBA bubble. That's next here on Hot Mic.